K-Rock Mid-Atlantic Rock Reviews. What an honor this is. I am here with Sal from My Darkest Days.
How's it going, guys? What's up, man? How are you?
We are in Hershey, Pennsylvania. Now, anybody that follows our site knows one of our biggest missions is changing the world through rock and roll.
Absolutely.
And you're doing something that's really awesome, and there's this pink guitar over here. Can you tell everybody a little bit about what you're doing to kind of help change the world a little?
Absolutely. Well, to start off, I have great sponsors, Gibson Kramer Guitars, and they've kind of been there since the beginning. And I had this idea. So my grandmother had a pretty scary stint with breast cancer, and lucky enough she survived. But I know a lot of people have actually who have passed away for a cancer that can, if it's caught early enough, can just save a life. So I was really inspired by my grandmother's survival to create a guitar to gain awareness. And just get young women and older women to the doctors to get checked, and just make sure that everything's okay, because prevention really is the only cure. And I just got with Gibson Guitars and Kramer Guitars, and I was like, listen, this is what I want to do, and I want to find a really great organization that's willing to put together a pink guitar that I can play on the entire tour. And we approached a bunch of different cancer societies, and we found Rethink Breast Cancer. And we just thought they were so cool. We created this pink flying V, and the whole idea was I was going to use it on the whole entire Nickelback, Bush, Seether tour. As you can see, everybody from every band, Bush, Nickelback, and Seether, and us have signed this guitar. Actually, we haven't signed it yet. We got to do that today. And we're going to auction it. All the money that we gain from the auction is going to go straight to the organization for breast cancer research.
Now, when's that auction going to take place, and how, if somebody was interested in taking part in that, how could they do that?
Well, we're actually having a meeting today about when the auction is going to be. So it hasn't been announced yet, but if you go on any of our social media sites and our websites, as soon as we have that information, we'll release it via the net, and everybody know where they can bid on this guitar. And it's pretty cool because it's going to literally be a piece of history. Like, who knows how long Bush, will be.
Oh yeah, it's got some killer signatures on this thing. I mean, I'm sitting here up close to it, seeing who you got on there, and that's amazing.
Yeah, and who knows, man? So it's literally, I used the guitar, I played it on the entire tour. So
that's social media. You guys, you tweet a lot.
Yeah.
You're all over that. Have you ever, in this modern era, you guys seem to do a lot of your marketing, and I can always find out stuff about My Darkest Day online. Have you ever sat down just by chance with, I don't want to call him an old timer, but like somebody who was in this industry before, and just talked about what it was like back in the day?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's really funny because, growing up, when I would watch or not even DVDs, VHS, and maybe even Beta, tapes of concerts, there was this like mystery, like Jimmy Page is like one of my biggest idols in Led Zeppelin, and I'd watch those guys, and it was all about the mystery, because people didn't have, if you wanted to know how old Jimmy Page was, you couldn't go on Google, you couldn't go on Wikipedia. The only information you knew about the band was from interviews on the radio, if you were fortunate enough to own a radio, or interviews on television if you had a TV, or newspapers, or the live show. That was it. So there was always this great mystery. And that's what created, I guess, the rock star, and this huge persona. They were almost like godly and untouchable. And then comes the internet, and it's completely eliminated all that, because any little bit of information that anybody wants on you, they can literally Google right away and find. So now it's a different game. It's like we're competing against who is willing to exploit the most information about themselves, because literally, if we're like, we've trained our brain to get to a point where we need information and we need it now.
Yes.
So if My Darkest Days is posting like every hour, and another band is posting every 2 days, people are going to be more inclined to check our page because they'll feel more connected to us. And in the midterm, we feel more connected to them as well, because we learn a lot about our fans, and that helps us with writing records, with shows, because we start to know what our fans want. It's just a different game.
You're here with Nickelback on tour right now. They always have a lot of stuff. One thing I was wondering, they have a lot of stuff on stage.
Yeah.
Do you have to be careful when you're out there, if you're going on stage before them, to not blow something up? Or?
Oh yeah, I've knocked over their cameras before, and I'm like, oh God only knows how much that camera is. We had like a bunch of dancers on stage a few days ago, and I ran up on one of Nickelback's ramps, and my cable just wrapped around one of their lights. God knows how expensive that was. And I turned around, I'm just yelling at my tech, I'm like, Murphy, untangle me now! And obviously he's so loud he can't hear me, so he's just giving me the thumbs up. I'm like, no, this is not thumbs up time. This
Now, talk about Nickelback. You guys are from Canada.
Yep.
I assume you're from Canada originally as well. And I've noticed that you tweet so much. I know some inside stuff. But you were talking about Atlantic City, where you were yesterday, and how much that was like a memorable place for you.
Yeah.
And I got to say, was that a vacation spot when you were a kid, or did it just?
Yeah. Well, we used to always go to Jersey like all the time with my family, and yeah, it was just I remember just staying like the Taj Mahal when I was a kid, and it still looks the same. So just walking back, you know, about 4 feet taller, it's actually cool to see it, you know, through the same set of eyes and at a different height. Yeah, it was kind of cool. Actually, we used to spend a lot of time in Wildwood, New Jersey, and I remember like this crazy clown. You know the ones you could shoot like at a target and it would fall in a pool? And he would just make fun of you like crazy and like say horrible, horrible things. Like to little kids would probably scar them for life. And that's stuck in my brain, so yeah, New Jersey.
Now, the part of Canada you're from, we've had the chance to have some conversations with Art of Dying, and it seems like there is a hotbed of musical greatness there.
Yeah.
Are you from that same little area where all those other guys are from?
We're
from 3 Days Grace and like that?
Matt, Brendan, and Doug are from Norwood, from that town, and I actually live in downtown Toronto. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on in Norwood, Ontario, for sure. And it's funny, everybody's related. Art of Dying, like Kale is Adam Gantier's cousin from 3 Days Grace, and then Brad from 3 Days Grace is Matt's brother. So it's really just more of like a family. It's just when you watch somebody do it, you're more inclined to want to do it yourself.
Now you're doing this is what we call an open air, I guess, show today. It's a huge stadium. As a performer yourself, do you prefer a great big audience like this, or do you like to go back to a small club every once in a while? Or is it a mixture?
It's a mixture. It's weird. It's like when you're in one scenario, you're trying to create the other. For example, like I always say, like you wanna make a bar or a club, you wanna make the audience feel like they're in an arena when you're playing a bar or a club. But when you're in an arena, you want to make the audience feel like they're in a bar or club. You just want to get the opposite reaction. Like when people are in this tight little setting, you want to make them feel like you're putting on this giant show. But when you're in this huge setting, you want to make people feel like they're right there in front of you. So I find like whenever I'm on stage, either or, I'm trying to like almost get the opposite reaction of the audience.
Well, the current album again is my favorite tune. Do you have a personal favorite? Are you allowed to have personal favorites on the record?
Yeah.
Do you have one?
I have two personal favorites. One would probably be Nature of the Beast. I just really like the vibe of that tune. Another song would be Love Crime, and only because Matt and I wrote that song in a Walmart parking lot, and it really hasn't changed at all since we wrote that song together. So that was a cool one to hear. Like, still I have the demo on my computer, and I hear the old demo, and I hear it on an album, and it's still very similar. So that was a cool one. And probably one of my personal favorites as well would be our cover of Stutter by Joe. We recorded that entire song and arranged it in one day, which was really, really cool. We just all got into the studio, and in one day it was completely done. And yeah, I think it turned out really well.
Come to me and tell me where you were last night. You told me that you're with your friends, hanging out last night.
Now we're here in Hershey, Pennsylvania. We had a chance to ride some coasters. Are you a coaster guy? Are you going to get a chance to ride anything here?
Dude, you have no idea. I love roller coasters. Actually, I had this job that was like right near a theme park back in Toronto, and it was just like, so I'd be driving up the highway, the theme park would be here, and here would be my place of like employment. And I'd be driving up the highway, and I'd be like half an hour until I have to be at work. And I had like a season's pass, and I was just like, I can make it. And I would just turn in real quick, jump, hit a coaster, and just get back in my car and take off. And I'd always be late. And then I ended up getting in trouble once because like one of the people I worked with like had a day off, and like just caught me like on a coaster. And I was like super late for work, and I was like, oh, I got caught in traffic. And then like a day later, they're just like, so you were caught in traffic, or were you on a roller coaster, Sal? I was like, maybe a little bit of both.
Did you recently just do something with Bret Michaels?
Yeah, absolutely.
Tell us a little bit about that.
So 2 years ago, My Darkest Days, we just did a random one-off with Bret Michaels. It was a Halloween show, I believe in Calgary. Calgary, Alberta, in Canada. And after the show, quickly, like Bret just kind of came up to me. He was like, "Hey, that was awesome, dude. You're a great player. You know, that was an awesome show. Great job. That was really cool." And that was kind of it. And then about a year after that, I had 2 days off, so I flew home to Toronto, and this was kind of just literally just sitting there, like hanging out. And then, like, yeah, he just kind of called me and said, you know, actually his PA called me first and said, hey, is this Sal? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, well, are you in Toronto by chance? And I said, yeah. He's like, well, I'm here on the phone with Bret, and he actually wants to talk to you. And I'm like, Bret, he's like, Bret Michaels. I'm like, okay, sure. So I take the phone, and Bret goes, hey, dude, you know, I know we met quickly last time, and he's like, we're on tour with Motley Crue right now, and I'm on tour with Poison, and we're playing Toronto tonight, and I thought you might be here, and if you are, like, I'd love for you to come up on stage and play an encore with us and just jam out with CC on stage. And he's like, just show up with your flying beat. Don't worry about amps, no sound check, no practice. He's like, I trust you, just do your thing, show up on stage and play. So I did that. I literally show up to this huge amphitheater with just my guitar. I walk on stage, and it just literally happened like that. And then 2 weeks after that, I get a call again, and it's Bret, and he goes, hey dude, I want you on my new record. You know, I want you to be on my first single. I want to feature you on lead guitar with my buddy Phil Collin from Def Leppard. So I'm like, wow. You know, I listened to Def Leppard and Poison growing up, and you know, I was like, absolutely, of course. So yeah, so me and Phil Collin of Def Leppard play guitars on Bret Michaels' new single. It's called "Get Your Rock On," and it's out right now. It's actually the official Supercross song of 2012 too. So it was really cool how that all came together.
So you're a pretty decent vocalist as well now. I mean, we noticed you do a lot of the backups.
Yeah.
Have you done any solo vocal stuff that folks could find if they wanted to hear you singing?
Yeah, I did. Before My Darkest Days, I played in a band called 3 Star Seed, which, you know, you can find that music all over the internet, iTunes, YouTube. Many bands. I was the lead singer for bands for years, and I just stopped doing it because I always wanted to be the Keith Richards, not the Mick Jagger. You know, I wanted to be Angus Young.
Not Stones fan here.
Yeah. You know, I liked being the Jimmy Page versus the Robert Plant, but I always was a singer as well, so anytime I joined a band, people were like, you have to sing because you're the best singer of all of us. But I still love to do it, and that's why MDD is so awesome, because we have tons of vocals and kind of have that, like, you know, Alice in Chains, Eagles thing where we always harmonize with each other and stuff. So
Definitely. One more time, how can folks get involved with this?
What we'll do is in a few weeks here, we'll post a link on all of our pages letting you know where the auction is going to be held and how it's going to be held. And yeah, just check our websites and you'll know all the information about it.
If somehow, folks out there, if you haven't seen My Darkest Days, that you have got to see these guys live. We don't see them as often as we'd like to, just by chance, but I can assure you every chance we have, we go see these guys live, and you should do the same. And especially a band that's doing something as wonderful as this. So, Sal, thank you so much for the time you spent with us.
No problem, anytime.